The last detail is a series of little dots in the middle of the cove of the loop, and on each side there's a little bracket, left and right bracket, and this dot occurs at the junction here where they cross over at the bottom, and then sort of halfway in between. And to get those right, what I've done is I will mark a little point here and all the way along so that those are equal. Now to cut the dot, it's something we've seen in the water leaf moulding on this website. You take a narrow deep gouge, a number 9 semicircular, you press it in, lift, move it round the cut, press it in, lift, round the cut, in, lift, round the cut. And when you do this enough times, this little bit pops out in the middle. Or usually just pops out. There it is. Here. Let me do that again over here. So 1, lift, 2, lift, 3, lift, and round. And there it is, loose in the middle. So you would finish those off with a little punch, which is made from a nail. This is just a bit of bar. It's slightly tapered, so when it fits in that hole and you tap it in, it flattens the bottom but also expands a little bit and just tidies up the edge. So let me just do that in the middle. So I would go 1. You could of course use your mallet on this. Eventually pop out, in. After a while you can get quite quick at this. So I do all those all the way along in different places. Tap those back all together. Then the eye, so the brackets on either side of what is in a moulding an eye, but here we'll call a dot, is just made with a deep gouge, a semi gouge that sort of covers the sort of circumference of what would be a circle around it. So it looks as if it's part of the same arc. You basically press that in, or you could tap it in with a mallet, and you've got a stab cut, and then you can just either slice like this when it's across the grain, or pressing that down, straight down, you can literally just push it in like this when it's along the grain. So I'm going to do that on either side of these eyes, or these dots, and just work my way around. And there's a sort of logic in the way these work. For example, the ones crossing over here go in this direction, the brackets. I'll put this one in here. And so forth. You have to work your way all the way around the whole carving. And with that, the last of the carving is actually finished. When you come to do the bracket cut on either side, make sure you don't lean into the dot like that. Rather, if anything, the vertical will lean outwards a little bit. And on this side, again, you're leaning outwards a little bit. Then you can take your cut. It is just an accent, it's not a big, heavy cut. That's it there. Before we put a finish on it, I'm going to take a very fine piece of sandpaper, 240 or more, and just wipe the surface. And that's to make sure there's nothing that is sharp, because a lot of carving through sharp surfaces, sharp edges. So just to wipe over, just like this, to make sure that's nice and tactile. Now as a finish, we've got an option of, we could put linseed oil with our 10% terps on it. That will make a slightly darker finish. I'm going to go for beeswax, my normal beeswax finish would be a little bit lighter. And I put this on in the same way that I've put it on throughout this website, which is a little bit on my brush, and I brush it in like so, the toothbrush into the cracks like this, and then I get a hairdryer and melt it and make sure it goes into the wood. And then as I do that, then I'll take off excess onto a bit of cloth like this, and then make sure that it's worked in. Leave it a little bit, and then I'll burnish it, or I'll use a nice big brush to give it a polish up like that. But after you've put the wax on, leave it a little bit so that it cures. That's what I've got to do all the way around, and that'll bring out the figure and the carving. But do make sure there's no wax clogging up any of these nice recesses. The waxing, I think, has really brought the whole piece together. The colour of the wood is wonderful, and I think I prefer this light colour to the original dark sort of Edwardian colour. I hope you can see, or have been able to see, that these individual parts are all fairly straightforward, but it's the bringing together of everything bit by bit by bit that makes it such an energetic and exciting sort of frame. So all that remains is to put the mirror in and to find some way of hanging it from the back, and our carving is complete.